Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Maller-Grodner Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. LawMG.com. IU Alumni Association, connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. Alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement, extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. Rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. Lawmakers want to give police more flexibility when using drones, but some departments say a bill moving through the State House is unnecessary.
It's an exercise in semantics. I would rather see it fail because it does not do anything other than reassure certain people that they can do their job.
The debate drones on ahead. One family's efforts to ensure no more infants will die of the treatable disease that has afflicted their son is now state law. And the founder of an addiction recovery center was sentenced to 30 years for a possession charge in 2014. But a Supreme Court ruling late last year set her free.
We didn't even have to argue. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Now she's back working with her daughter to help those in recovery. Those stories, plus the latest news headlines from across the state, right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. A bill that would expand the use of police drones is moving forward at the State House. Indiana is one of several states that requires police to obtain a search warrant before putting a drone in the air unless it's an emergency. A Republican representative says his legislation would create additional exceptions, but as Barbara Brozier reports, some question if it's necessary.
When Deputy Brandon Cordes puts a drone into the sky.
Okay, right now I'm going to raise the landing gear.
He gets a perspective his department didn't have before.
It's cut the amount of time we're spending at the scene down considerably, and we need less manpower to cover large areas.
They use the technology for everything from trying to find a missing person to taking photos of a crime scene. And most of the time, they don't have to get a search warrant before flying the drones.
Most typically, we're deploying our drones in relation to a pursuit or searching for a suspect under what's known as exigent circumstances. And basically for the layperson, that would be something that's an emergency.
Indiana law stipulates first responders need a search warrant before deploying a drone unless it's an emergency situation. But a proposal at the State House aims to change that.
And this is just another tool that law enforcement can use now.
Representative Robert Morris's bill would create more situations where police can fly a drone without a warrant. They would no longer need one if they're safeguarding the public at a public event or place, or collecting evidence at a place where there's no reasonable expectation of privacy. Morris says in one case, Fort Wayne police didn't obtain a search warrant before taking pictures of a crash site because they wanted to restore traffic flow as quickly as possible.
And in court currently, if you do not have a warrant to shoot those pictures, they throw all the pictures out. They could not use those in court.
The Fort Wayne Police Department is in favor of the changes. Lieutenant John Bowers says the current law is flawed.
So if I have a camera and I'm standing on a public place and I'm taking a picture of a crime scene, but Senator Morris is flying a drone for me and he wants to put it up 20 feet in the air, he needs a warrant, but I don't.
But the Indiana Public Defender Council has concerns about privacy. The agency worries if the proposal passes, the legislature could relax the requirements even more in the future.
The terms of this bill are troubling, but they're not onerous. They're not throwing it wide open to law enforcement. However, it is creating more incremental exceptions to a strong statutory scheme that was put in place in 2014. And the concern would be that more incremental exceptions are going to follow with it.
While the bill moves forward at the State House, deputies with the Noble County Sheriff's Department say they don't see the point of the legislation. They don't think the proposal makes any changes to what's legal under current law.
It does not make my job any easier than it already is, nor does it make it any more difficult.
In fact, Baker says he'd like to see the bill fail because he thinks existing law is strong enough.
It simply says that if you do not have an exigent circumstance, you are required to get a search warrant. And for me, I believe wholly in the Constitution, and I don't believe that police officers should be pushing the bounds of the Constitution. So I am very comfortable with the fact that the law requires a warrant.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Barbara Brozier.
And that police drones bill was just one part of a busy week for legislators at the State House. Political reporter Brandon Smith joins us now to talk the latest from the Capitol. Hi, Brandon.
Hey there, Joe.
So first off, we have another wrinkle in the seemingly unending story of hate crimes legislation in Indiana. So update us on what happened this week.
Well, probably the end game. House Republicans found their preferred solution to this hate crimes debate, and they quickly approved it. Now, their hate crimes language says that a judge can impose a harsher sentence if a crime was committed in part because of bias. It also references a list of victim characteristics that already exists in state law. But that list doesn't include sex, age, or gender identity, and that has many advocates and Democrats saying it doesn't go far enough. Now, Governor Holcomb said initially that he was in favor of the House Republicans' language, and then he later said that he'd still like to see his list, which is more comprehensive.
And lawmakers approved legislation this week along party lines that bans dilation and evacuation abortions. What did doctors say about the issue at a hearing this week?
Well, doctors, quite frankly, are split on the issue. Now, anti-abortion physicians who are in favor of the bill say that fetuses can feel pain, and they call this procedure barbaric. But other doctors say that accepted medical science says that fetuses literally cannot feel pain at that stage of development. They also argue that D&Es are the safest abortion procedure at that stage of pregnancy.
So what could happen if that bill is signed into law?
Well, quite frankly, D&Es would largely be banned in this state, except for situations where the woman faces serious health risks. But the ACLU of Indiana has already said that they will sue over this bill if it becomes law. And the ACLU hasn't lost an abortion case in Indiana this decade.
And what about the bill that gives payouts to exonerees or the wrongfully imprisoned? That bill passed Senate committee despite facing opposition.
Yeah, and it's the first real opposition we've actually seen to that bill this session. Now, the bill gives $50,000 to innocent people for every year that they spent wrongfully imprisoned. A couple of Republican senators in the committee this week thought $50,000 was actually too much money, even though it's actually less than what the state has paid out in settlements to exonerees over the years.
Okay, a very busy Brandon Smith. Brandon, thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
The first bill Governor Holcomb signed this year will require a test that could save the lives of some Hoosier newborns. Tyler Lake reports on a bill that adds 3 new diseases to Indiana's list of medical screenings of newborns.
This is Bryce Clausen, and his parents say he is the inspiration for a bill that would ensure no other parents will lose their child like they will lose him.
We wanted to make sure that we did all that we could to make sure that no other Hoosier families had to go through this and had to lose their baby from a disease that could have been treated.
Krabbe disease is a rare genetic neurological condition that affects about 1 in 100,000 Americans. It can be treated by an early stem cell transplant, but if not treated early, the Mayo Clinic says the disease usually results in death by age 2. And the Clausens brought Bryce to the bill signing to celebrate his legislative achievement on his 14th month birthday.
We have no idea how it happened in 49 days. I mean, that's just insane to us. We never imagined that it would happen in this legislative session because they put the bill in after the session had started. So we are just kind of in awe that it all happened.
Governor Eric Holcomb was clearly moved as he signed the bill, thanking the Clausens and Bryce for the change they brought about.
Few people will ever get more done before the age of 2 than Bryce.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Tyler Lake.
Pompe disease and Hurler syndrome are the other 2 conditions added to the state's list of newborn screenings. Now for headlines, we go over to Barbara Brozier, who has the latest on this week's top stories.
Thanks, Joe. Monroe County Commissioner Amanda Barge suspended her Democratic primary campaign against Mayor John Hamilton this week after sexual harassment allegations by independent contractor Brandon Drake surfaced in an Indiana Daily Student report. Barge denies the claims. The Monroe County Legal Department issued a statement in response to the allegations against Barge that focused solely on Drake's job performance. Drake says that information is irrelevant. He says the county's response is a distraction from the real issue.
Who wouldn't come to work disgruntled? Who wouldn't come to work and have a poor job performance? If you had to every day wonder if you're going to be harassed.
Barge suspended her mayoral campaign, but says she doesn't plan to step down as a county commissioner. The move leaves Mayor John Hamilton as the only candidate in the Democratic primary. An Indiana University expert says it's hard to hold elected officials accountable when incumbents go unchallenged.
People are not angels. We govern ourselves. All the more reason why you need really active election cycles.
He says the same happens with the majority of congressional candidates who win on the side of the predominant political party. Republican and Libertarian parties have until noon on June 30th to choose a candidate to challenge Hamilton. Indiana's primary election is May 7th. A second guidance counselor from Roncalli High School says the school won't renew her contract because of her relationship with a woman. Counselor Lynn Starkey joined Shelley Fitzgerald in filing claims with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission against the school, saying they were discriminated against because of their sexual orientation. The Archdiocese of Indianapolis says contracts are guaranteed for 1 year, and Starkey was in violation of her contract because of her civil union. Last year, the school received $1.7 million in state funds from school vouchers. Now, once the commission reviews the claims, Starkey and Fitzgerald can file lawsuits. Former Vigo County School Corporation Superintendent Daniel Tannous will file an appeal in an attempt to get 3 felony counts of bribery dropped. He's accused of accepting bribes in exchange for a contract with the school district. His attorney requested the Court of Appeals review a portion of the case this week before it reaches trial. This comes after the court denied a motion earlier in the week to dismiss all charges against Tannous. A status hearing is scheduled for April 24th in Marion County. A part-time medical clinic for veterans has closed less than a year after opening in Kokomo. U.S. Senator Joe Donnelly last year had asked the VA to investigate after some veterans said the clinic didn't provide enough services.
I felt like they never really, there was, I'll just be clear, I feel like the VA never really committed to the location and to the project itself.
The clinic was located in the joint City-County Wellness Center. A spokesperson at the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs says staff had to be transferred to a VA clinic in Marion. A deteriorating downtown parking garage in Bloomington is yet again in question by the City Council. Members are split on whether to fund a new garage where the current one stands. Mayor John Hamilton is asking the council to support building a new garage, and so did representatives from CFC Properties, which owns a number of downtown buildings.
Parking is so valuable, and if we do not provide parking necessary, it is going to have an impact on businesses. It's going to have an impact on the community. It's going to have an impact on the tourism downtown.
The city proposes using an $18.5 million tax revenue bond to acquire, demolish, and construct a new garage with a maximum of 550 parking spaces. A report from structural engineers revealed that the true cost of repairs to the 4th Street garage would be almost $1.6 million. That's nearly 25% more than the initial estimate. The council will take a final vote on the proposal next week. Well, Bloomington Company is using virtual reality to help train people for real-world situations. And one of the biggest applications is sexual harassment training. Regatta VR uses virtual and augmented reality, along with artificial intelligence, to help companies train their employees.
It mimics conversations with people of the opposite sex and encourages the person and trains them to answer correctly, but it also tracks where their eyes are looking. It tracks their movement. And so we can help them understand that it's not just what you're saying to the person, but maybe where you're looking, how you're acting, how close you got to them, where they might feel violated.
And as more companies look to educate their employees about sexual harassment in the wake of the Me Too movement, Wes says virtual reality provides a unique opportunity. He says it's a safe place where people can make mistakes while learning. And Joe, I actually got to test out the technology. You really do feel like you're in a room in these real world situations when you put those goggles on.
That's amazing, Barbara. Thank you. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. Eskenazi Health is expanding a program to bring in volunteers to hold babies in the neonatal intensive care unit to give them a much-needed human touch. And after thinking she could spend the next 30 years in prison, a Supreme Court ruling freed a southern Indiana woman after 10 months. Now she's back helping others recover from drugs and alcohol. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
The WTIU WFIU news team connects Indiana to the world. We bring you the top news of the day on radio, TV, and online. We round up the stories that have people talking each week and dig deep into the issues that affect your community the most. The WTIU WFIU news team is where you are and telling your story.
$10,000. 15? 15, you think? 20, 21,000?
600.
20. 18 fine. 24.
It's at least 40.
Look at it.
4,500,000. 650.
20.
650.
This textile would be worth about $500,000.
$500,000?
No way.
I knew it. It's just a blanket.
Laying on the back of a chair. Well, sir, you have a national treasure.
Wow.
A national treasure. Congratulations.
I can't believe this.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. Well, we first introduced you to Lisa Livingston a year ago. She was awaiting sentencing on several drug-related charges. Her fate and that of the Women's Recovery Center she founded was up in the air. Ultimately, a judge ordered her to 30 years. My colleague Brock Turner has been following the story for over a year now, Brock, and that's not where Lisa's story ends.
No, it's not, Joe. Lisa started serving her sentence in March. Her attorneys filed multiple appeals, and it seemed like she would serve her full prison sentence. In October 2017, Lisa Livingston opened the breakaway. Her arrest in 2013 for meth possession was the wake-up call she needed to get clean, and then take it a step further to start helping other women who were struggling with addiction. Since then, 19 have graduated to lives of sobriety. But when she was sentenced, it was unclear whether or not this home in New Albany would survive.
When she first left, I was terrified because I know she's got my back. She's always had my back. She's my biggest cheerleader. And I just know that I made a promise to her that I would do whatever I had to do to keep her dream alive, to keep the house going, to keep the women safe, continue to have graduations as if she was here.
Judges had no choice but to send Livingston to the Department of Correction. Mandatory minimums required it. However, she and her attorney hoped Livingston could serve the entirety of her sentence in a community corrections program away from prison, where she could continue working at the breakaway. That didn't happen. The mandatory minimum was longer than what many deemed practical to serve in community corrections or on house arrest.
It was a sucker punch to the gut, is what it felt like. It truly felt like a sucker punch to the gut.
Her case made headlines because of the work she was doing to help other women through recovery. During her time at the Rockville Correctional Facility in Park County, Livingston's attorneys filed a pair of appeals. Both were thrown out. Livingston says she tried to find acceptance.
I threw myself in church, so I got an opportunity to get to know God and read my Bible. I spent every 10:30 count, and I would get on my knees, put my shower shoes under my knees, and I would stay in prayer until it cleared, which is usually about an hour. There's a lot of people my daughter's age. I'm 53 years old, and there's a lot of people between 25 and 30.
On December 28th, Indiana's Supreme Court changed everything. In a ruling that most observers agree is extremely rare, the state's highest court altered Lisa's sentence and released her from prison. She'd get to go back to community corrections. The move gave Lisa the chance to return to the breakaway.
We didn't even have to argue. I mean, that's pretty impressive. It was filed by brief and ruled on by brief, which is really stunning.
Culotta says in her opinion, the case sets a precedent in Indiana for future nonviolent drug offenders to have their sentences shortened. But Livingston doesn't believe her time incarcerated was without a purpose. While Livingston was in prison, her daughter Lacey overdosed. Paramedics used multiple doses of Narcan in an attempt to revive her, but Lacey's heart stopped. Paramedics performed CPR, and eventually she regained consciousness on her way to a Louisville hospital.
I got to the point where I welcomed death. I know when I came through in the back of that ambulance and I'd overdosed, which had never happened before. It ended up happening when my mom got locked away. I cried. I cried to that EMT and I said, "Help me, I cannot stop. I can't stop."
For Lacey, that moment paired with a short stay in jail was her breaking point. She enrolled in the Breakaway, the recovery home her mom started.
All these emotions that we did not know how to deal with, we're taught how to deal with that. You know, so all these things that I was getting high over and staying high over, I dealt with those things in this house. And the best part was I didn't deal with them alone. I have a whole house full of women that helped me through even the hard times with the fact that my mom was going to be in prison for 30 years. You know, the Miss Janice, the lady that runs this place, she loved me back to life.
After just 6 months in the house, Lacey recently graduated from the 12-step program. While the road ahead might be difficult, both Lacey and Lisa know they now have each other to rely on.
She's a child that I haven't seen for 10 years. And when I seen, I know I keep talking about it, but when I seen what this house did for her, I'm just like, oh my God. Because when you see other people do it, once again, and then when you watch your daughter do it and the change that you see in your own daughter, it's amazing. So getting to be there I'm extremely blessed.
And it's a blessing that isn't lost on the woman who kept the house going in Lisa's absence.
I think every struggle was needed, including her being gone for the 10 months that she had to go away. I say that because it gave her daughter the opportunity to come here, focus on herself, and become the woman that she's supposed to be.
Many defense attorneys, prosecutors, and judges I spoke with agree there's more of a need for recovery options across the state. While there's debate about the role incarceration plays, many do agree Indiana would benefit from more recovery options. According to the Indiana Affiliation of Recovery Residences, less than 2% of those in need have access. That translates to more than two-thirds of Indiana counties, many of which are in rural parts of the state, that do not have a facility. The organization says there's currently a need for 66,000 beds across the state.
Brock, great story. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, Joe.
Well, programs for volunteers to hold babies placed in the neonatal intensive care unit are becoming more popular. Eskenazi Health is expanding their Cuddle Buddies program thanks to a $10,000 grant from Huggies. Mary Kate Hamilton met with a volunteer to learn about the program's benefits.
When retired nurse Mary Robbins Niersty heard about Eskenazi's Cuddle Buddies volunteer program, she jumped at the opportunity.
I retired and I wanted to do some volunteer work, and I found a couple things around the city, and then they started this program, and I was right there, first one.
Eskenazi health officials say the program helps infant development through human touch. A study conducted by the Canadian Association of Pediatric Health Centers indicates infants can experience improved sleep, faster growth, lower pain levels, and shorter hospital stays just by being held.
Hello there.
10-day-old baby Aylin is a resident of the neonatal intensive care unit and one of the newborns that uses a Cuddle Buddy.
Some of them you can just feel them relax when you're holding them. You just know that it's a good thing to be doing for them. And I was amazed at that when I first started.
But Robbins Niersty says it's not just the babies that benefit from this program.
I don't know, it just had this total calming effect on me.
The service is offered when parents and family members have obligations that take them away from the hospital. Mary comes into the hospital once a week for a 3-hour shift and has volunteered with the program for more than a year.
I certainly look forward to my Thursdays. It's certainly my favorite day of the week. I do other volunteer things, but this is certainly my favorite.
Since receiving the Huggies No Baby Unhugged grant, Eskenazi Health has had to create a waiting list for the influx of volunteers interested in becoming a Cuddle Buddy. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Mary Kate Hamilton.
And crews say they'll be done reconstructing a covered bridge in Monroe County by next month. The original bridge dates back to the 1880s, but it was destroyed in a fire in 1976.
A lot of people around the state of Indy travel all around just to go to see a covered bridge. So since this is new, we do expect. I'm sure the newness will wear off, but in the beginning, I'm sure we'll have a lot of traffic out there during the summer.
Ridge says federal money is funding 80% of the $1.6 million project. At one time, Monroe County had 14 covered bridges. That's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville, fiber internet, streaming TV, home security, and automation in southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Maller Grodner Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis, lawmg.com. IU Alumni Association, connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement, extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members, thank you.